Oh my god. My fellow Beyonders. My fellow Transformers, brothers and sisters. This issue of Skybound's Transformers is absolutely incredible. There's so much that happens. God, I'm so hyped. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like button. Okay, we're getting right into it. So this picks up right where we left off in the last video, on Cybertron. If you haven't watched the previous video, you'll find a link to it below the like button and at the end of this video. While Alita and Cliffjumper were inside the Well of Sparks bringing Shredhead to life, Warpath, Blur, and Bluestreak are outside of it holding the Decepticons back. Currently they're pinned down by the Seekers, Hotlink and Bitstream, and the Beast, Carnivac. It's cool to see more obscure Transformers make an appearance in this series. Bluestreak is calling Alita for backup, until suddenly, the Decepticons toss a grenade in their position, and they get blown back. Carnivac transforms into his beast form, and just when he's about to feed on Bluestreak, out of nowhere, Shredhead, in their vehicle mode, which remember is Carly's van, slams right into him. Remember, Shredhead is a combination of partial sparks that Cliffjumper had collected that were the remains of his clan. So they're not a singular being. So I'll be referring to them as they and them and their throughout the video. One thing I need to point out here that's so freaking cool and such a coincidence is the thumbnail I used in the last video of Shredhead. I titled it Let's Shred because in my own headcanon that would be their cool saying. And literally right here, they say to the Decepticons, "You guys ready to shred?" Like, it's so badass. Carnivac begs for help, and Shredhead just stabs their sword into his head. Bitstream tries to shoot him, but Shredhead immediately slices off his arms. Hotlink tries to beg for his life, and Shredhead is like, "No shot," and wastes no time and slices Hotlink in half. Like, my god, this is how you debut a new Transformer. Danny Warren Johnson has knocked it out of the park with this one. Shredhead is just coming across as super dominant, and I absolutely love it. Another thing that Danny Warren Johnson does here that's cool is he's making Shredhead the beacon of hope for the Autobots on Cybertron, because Bluestreak is just shocked with how easily they took out the Decepticons here. He says, "By Primus's hand." Alita replies, "I know, Bluestreak. I think we may have turned the tide." And for the first time since she's appeared, Alita smiles. Okay, from here we're going to transition to Earth with RC, Beachcomber, Carly, and Spike camping in Ultra Magnus's makeshift fortress. Through Magnus's and RC's conversation, we learn even more about the trauma Shockwave has inflicted on him. While admiring Earth's beauty staring at the moon, he mentions to RC how it reminds him of when they used to do the same on Cybertron, looking up at the great beyond. But he can't appreciate it because Shockwave ruined it all. He can only see the unknown, the dark now. Even when RC tells him that Shockwave is gone, he can't hurt him anymore, Magnus responds that it's too late. Shockwave's damage to him is done. He now knows the true depths of what one Cybertronian can do to another, and it's hard for him to believe in anything anymore now. When RC says, "You can't let what has happened in the past dictate what is to come, my friend," Magnus kind of brushes it off by replying, "That's easy for you to say." That's when Carly chimes in, and it's so fitting because she has gone through a lot and can connect with Magnus's pain and trauma more than RC. She says, "Spike and I lost our dads, our home, and everything I knew about the world is gone. You're a huge metal man with guns and I'm a small squishy wannabe artist. Who would come up with two beings more different? But inside, we're more alike than you realize. Our shared pain brings us together. No matter how adrift you feel, you're not alone, Ultra Magnus." This, at least for the moment, shakes Magnus out of his despair, his feeling of hopelessness. However, this feel-good moment the group is sharing together is short-lived because Magnus senses something is closing in on his fortress, which is a group of soldiers here. And Magnus whips out this big freaking gun and tells everyone to get down, And even one of the soldiers here is shocked at the sight of this and is like, oh shit. And Magnus just starts blasting everywhere, and the soldiers are getting blown to bits. RC tries to stop him, pointing out that those are humans he's shooting at. Carly calls out to RC, and her and Magnus look at Carly and see she's been hit with a dart right in her neck. This, along with the troops and the attack helicopters here, makes Magnus go even more on the offensive and freak out, because he's taking it as them being attacked. So it's triggering his PTSD even more. He says, they want to enslave us. He wants to enslave me. Magnus destroys one of the helicopters here. Seeing this happen, the other helicopters here unleash an array of rockets and blow the fortress straight to hell. After the explosion, the troops here investigate the smoking remains of the fortress, and we see they have the star emblem of G.I. Joe on their uniforms, which is crazy and confirms for us that they're unaware of the different factions within the Transformers and are viewing all of them as a threat. And remember the good deed I mentioned of Optimus and the Autobots currently saving the lives of civilians in Seattle? That's probably not going to change anything in the eyes of the government anymore, because they'll say, yeah, you saved a bunch of civilians from your own destructive kind, and one of your own killed a bunch of our troops. So you're still a threat to us. As she recovers from the blast, RC sees this G.I. Joe unit take Carly's and Ultra Magnus's unconscious bodies. This is kind of sad because Magnus just was freed from Shockwave's centuries-long imprisonment and now will be a prisoner of the US government and most likely will be experimented on. We also don't know if Beachcomber and Spike escaped the explosion unscathed. Now in Seattle, and this gets super nuts, the fight between Starscream's brigade and Soundwave's Decepticons is still playing out, while Optimus Prime and the Autobots are trying to save as many civilians as they can. As Bruticus and Devastator are fighting, Starscream on Astrotrain is providing air support, firing on Devastator. Now in the Marvel Universe within the X-Men, Colossus and Wolverine have this awesome tag team move called the Fastball Special, where Colossus takes Wolverine into his hands and hurls him forward, like a baseball pitcher throwing a fastball. We get a version of that here with Soundwave and Rumble, and it's amazing. God, I love Soundwave in this series. He sits atop a nearby building and says, "You have only one arm, Rumble, but one is all you shall need." He launches Rumble at Astrotrain and he takes out one of his wings. As they fall, Starscream calls out to the Combaticons. He and Astrotrain crash atop the seemingly tallest skyscraper here in Seattle. Bruticus immediately begins to climb the skyscraper. Soundwave orders Devastator to follow, and something insane happens. Once Bruticus gets to the top and tries to save Starscream, Devastator grabs him and yells, "There can be only one Combiner, and that Combiner's name is Devastator." Devastator launches off the skyscraper while grabbing Bruticus's neck, delivering an RKO. Like, holy hell. I was not expecting a Highlander reference and a wrestling move at the same time. Optimus, shocked at the sight of this, sees them plummeting and is like, "Primus, save us." The Combiners hit the ground and a massive explosion occurs. Honestly, this explosion should have been a lot worse. Like, it should have been the combination of a nuke going off and an earthquake happening at the same time. Now, Starscream versus Soundwave round 2 continues, because Starscream, seeing Bruticus is down for the count, starts panicking, saying, "No, why can't anything go my way?" Soundwave replies, knocking him back, "Because you are stupid, Starscream," just perfectly adding insult to injury, and he doesn't end there. Soundwave, pointing his blaster to Starscream's head, continues and says, "You're guided by fear, hate, selfishness. You cannot even move yourself without the Earthling's technology. What a pathetic end for you." It's the very word pathetic that enrages Starscream, giving him a second win. He deflects the blaster fire in the nick of time and shockingly begins to beat down Soundwave, headbutting him and ripping off his chest plate and grabbing Ravage's body while saying, "Pathetic, look who's talking. At least I'm not the one obsessed with their tape collection." At that moment, a voice interrupts and says, "Starscream, Soundwave, enough." Yes, he's finally arrived. The scourge of Cybertron, the slag maker, and true leader of the Decepticons. When Starscream tries to ask the question how he survived, Megatron immediately cuts him off and demands he be silent. Megatron then grabs Ravage's body. Initially, I was thinking he was going to use his body to restore himself, but no, Megatron uses his own spark to restore Ravage, rewarding Soundwave for his loyalty. Soundwave kneels before him and says, "My master." Now, Starscream tries to get Astrotrain to get him out of there because he knows he's in trouble. Astrotrain, staring at Megatron, responds no, because this is his opportunity to take his revenge. Megatron says to Soundwave, "Get up, Soundwave. There is much work to be done." At that moment, it seems like he's looking down the skyscraper at Optimus. And when Optimus sees him and the two make eye contact, he says, "Autobots, retreat." Hear me out here. I think Megatron is going to hold off on taking out Starscream because he had a perfect opportunity to just kill him right then and there, but didn't. What if his strategy is to unite the Decepticons, restore himself and all of them, and then just focus on conquering Earth and taking out the Autobots? That is a very, very scary scenario for the Autobots, because they don't have anything at all right now that can take on the combined might of two combiners, all of the Decepticons here, and a very pissed off Megatron. Even Optimus, the strongest among them, who has Megatron's fusion cannon, isn't at 100% because of everything he's got going on. He's losing control of his body. So the Autobots need backup, and they need it yesterday. Unfortunately for right now, we won't see what happens next in the story for a bit, because we're getting something awesome. The next issue will be a new story arc focusing on Megatron's origin, and I am so excited for that. In the meantime though, if you want to check out Megatron's origin in the IDW universe, I'll have a link to my full story video on that series at the end of the video. It's one of the first Transformers series I covered on the channel. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it a lot. Comment below your thoughts and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, check out that video of Megatron's origin, or check out another Transformers video that I also have right here. Other than that, have an awesome day, and always remember every day to go beyond. See you later, Beyonders.